GM. GM. So, trade of the day, Pepe. Pepe's obviously had a big move. Absolutely non-existent volume, which is wild. I think the aggregate chart as well, does it show it? Pepe. Yeah, really not much. Not much volume on this breakout. Now, the volume's still much higher than it had been throughout this consolidation. The average volume has increased, as you can see by the moving average line. And Pepe itself, I wouldn't worry too much about the volume in terms of it marking a top or being a big divergence. If Ethereum manages to hold, Pepe will still do well. And I think that's the most likely path for Pepe if you do see it. If you see Pepe coming back into the previous all-time high level, either there or here, there's two areas. It's either going to retest that old all-time high level or a wick down into these areas here. If you see a wick down on Pepe and it holds and it's able to consolidate that level, I think that'll set up a big push into probably its final high, its ultimate top in the next couple of weeks, because it's starting to have this parabolic uptrend slope, right? It's moving up and up and up and up and up. So Pepe can't break that. If Pepe breaks that, right, that's it. It's over. It's not gonna go all time high if it breaks that level. And so pullbacks are fine. Dips are probably for buying if you get the setups on them. But it would be more of a momentum trade. I wouldn't expect Pepe to go a whole lot higher if it does continue going parabolic here. So if I was looking to buy Pepe, I'd be buying it there. 4-hour trend is holding. The alternative would be obviously that it's able to hold there, and if it holds like that, it's going to break out probably with no pullback. But for me, a trading perspective, I'll be waiting for a flush down. Ondo. So Ondo had a nice breakout overnight there. I think this for Ondo is most likely just going to continue from here. And I would suspect that this impulse candle is a valid breakout and that Ondo won't go back below this low of the daily candle. And it shouldn't lose the daily bands, right? So that area shouldn't be revisited if this is a valid breakout, which I think it is. You've above average volume. It's had its highest ever close, closed above $1. So Ondo had never had a close above $1. $1 might get a wick. You might catch a wick in there for a retest at some point. But it's one of the better structures, better setup charts, and I think that it can continue higher from here. And if RWA narrative is going to, continue pushing, I think Ondo's a decent one to focus on, decent one to look at from a lower time frame perspective. For multi-day swings or a couple of weeks or whatever. So I like the look of Ondo. If I'm looking at a lower time frame setup on it, consolidation here on the hourly bands after the breakout seems pretty solid. So I'd like to see it confirm that by either pushing up and having one more retest, and if it does, I would get long Ondo there. Or depending on, now this would require probably Ethereum to go down to 3580. You might see Ondo flush back down, but Ondo was really strong throughout the dip, right? You see some of the wicks on the candles yesterday. Ondo didn't. It just pushed into support. And I mentioned this on yesterday's trade of the day. Ondo has very high spot volume, not much perp volume. So there seems to be a pretty spot-led market, not a huge amount of leverage, which is decent. And I think it's probably one of the strongest coins in the market at the moment. Just want to see how positioning has been changing overnight. Ondo. Big increase of funding. Spike up in open interest as you'd expect. Is it anything to be concerned about overly? Nothing too crazy, I wouldn't say. Looks pretty decent, still looks pretty healthy. And if it's able to hold here and continue to consolidate, I think Ondo should continue higher. Right, it should. Unless the whole market pulls back. So that's one to watch. If I go to a super low time frame and see how is this consolidation going? We had a push down, push, volume divergence at the lows on the low time frame. Price pushed lower, volume didn't. Consolidating, rising back up. So I'd like to see it push back up a little higher, go for some kind of retest. If it's able to hold, that's where you see a nice setup on Ondo forming. You'll probably have a sloping trend line here. If it's able to break out from there, come back, hold around this level. Right, you can see that. Previous low, dip below it, back above it, push up, back into that area. If Ondo can hold and show that it's actually building value at this level, that's probably a decent place to start looking for continuation longs on Ondo. And so Ondo and Pepe are probably the two to focus most on. Solana, a lot of expectations about Solana being the next best thing because Solana is going to be, the next ETF. I don't think it will be the next ETF, by the way. But you've seen this move up, retracing back. As long as it stays above 160, Solana's bullish from that perspective. It is, of course, rejecting at this resistance so far. So that's something to keep your eyes on. And of course, this is not a strong trend. It's broken, or it's in the process of breaking the previous interim low before that break higher. So it might be a case of more chop for Solana. But I think if it's able to hold there, you're going to see Solana then go for its own breakout. So Solana decent, Ondo better, Pepe better, and it's all dictated by Ethereum here. As long as Ethereum doesn't give its gains up and go all the way back to 3,200, I think you're going to see probably good continuations on Ondo and Pepe. So that's it. I'll let you know any trades I take. I'll update them on Ondo and Pepe in the chats. GM. Talk soon.